Assalamu alaikum students. Hope you are doing well. Well, in our last lecture we discussed about report writing. We identified the different types of reports and we also got to know that for every report you have to collect data that's reliable, credible and authentic. We also got to know that there are two basic sources of data. A. Primary sources of data. B. Secondary sources of data. Okay, the primary data is basically collected by the hands-on experience by the researcher, and the secondary data is collected through books, internet, etc. In our last lecture, we read about the secondary sources of data in detail. How do you basically go about collecting the data from the secondary sources, such as books, internet, which sources are considered as more credible and which are not. However, in this lecture, we will be focusing on gathering and organizing data via primary sources, such as questionnaires, interviews, and observations. In this lecture, we will be focusing on observations primarily. Okay, what are observations? How do you collect data through observations? What are the different types of observations? What are the advantages and disadvantages of observations? So each and every detail will be catered in this lecture. Let's get started. What are observations? Observation in simpler terms can be defined as the process of watching someone or something. Often, observations are considered as an informal action, but they can also be formal and involve data collection. An observation can also be defined as the act of noticing something or a judgment or inference from something seen or experienced. Proceeding to the formal definition, when it comes to research, observation is a systematic data collection approach. Researchers use all of their senses to examine people in natural settings or naturally occurring situations. Observations can be involved in a field setting and they basically involve the researcher to be effectively engaged in a particular social situation. Okay? Let's look into some of the examples of observations. When it comes to the scientific domain, we can say a scientist looking at a chemical reaction in an experiment is an observation. Similarly, a doctor watching a patient after administering an injection can be an observation as well. In academic settings, a teacher watching her students work during the independent work time, it can be an observation as well. A parent watching her children interact with each other on the playground, this can be an observation as well. And to put it simply, a child watching a fish in a tank, this can be counted as an observation as well. Okay? Let's look into the four dimensions of observations. Well, people, whenever you are undertaking observations, they have to be planned according to what you are trying to find out. Okay? So the observations can be structured or unstructured. Structured observations are systematic and planned, while unstructured are unplanned and they are unsystematic. We have participant observations and non-participant observations. We have overt observations and covert observations. Observations can be done in the natural settings, okay, and as well as in the unnatural or artificial settings, such as a laboratory experiment or something, an experimental research. Okay, so these basically take place in artificial settings, so you can have observations in that perspective as well as in the natural settings as well. Structured observations are also known as systematic observations, and they are basically a data collecting tool in which the researcher gathers data without the direct involvement with the participants, which means that the researcher watches the participants from afar and basically records the findings. Okay? Moreover, it also helps the researchers to collect the data that cannot be collected using questionnaires or interviews. Okay? Structured interviews also use a coding method for data collection. Now, what is meant by coding? Coding is the predetermined list of aspects you want to observe that's linked to your topic. For instance, if you are a developmental psychologist and you want to do a research on helping behaviors in toddlers, okay, so basically you want to use a structured observation for that. Now you have defined a set of behaviors that can be quantified as helping behaviors. Okay, so what you can do is that you will make a list. Okay, the child is helping other students. Okay, finding out things for others. Okay, stuff like that. Okay, and in front of that, if the child really does that, he helps his fellows, so you will just put a tick mark. Okay, this thing has been proven. Okay, and if he doesn't, you just put a cross. Okay, consider another example, people. We have an experiment. Okay, so in that you can develop a coding scheme. Okay, you can state the change of color. Okay, moreover, if effervescence was seen. Okay, so in this way you can develop a structured observation aspect. Moreover, if we move to the unstructured observations, they are quite arbitrary. Moreover, they are not planned, they are not systematic. Okay, the researcher automatically goes and just arbitrarily observes the things without any planning. Okay, let's start with participant observations and non-participant observation. People, participant observation is a research method in which the researcher not only observes the research participants but also actively engages in the activities of the research participants. This basically requires the researcher to become integrated into the participant's environment while also taking objective notes about what is going on. For instance, if you are researching on a particular learning activity, so when you will be observing the students doing that activity, you just become a part of that activity. Okay, simultaneously you will be observing other students as well, and being the part of that activity will give you an edge to further delve into that and record the findings in a better manner. Okay, what are overt observations and what are covert observations? People, overt observations refer to the researcher being open about their intentions in the field and ensuring all members of the social group are aware of what's happening. For instance, if you are conducting a research on a particular topic, you will inform the people who are being observed that you are researching on this topic and you want to actually observe them doing a particular thing. Okay? So, for instance, if you are conducting a research on conversational analysis and you want to know which words are used by people most often while they are involved in a conversation, so you'll inform the people that they are being observed. People, the setback of this thing is that the people might modify their behaviors, okay, in overt observations. As far as the covert observations are concerned, they involve the researcher not informing the members of the group that they are being observed. Okay, they may be the part of the group, they might be observing them, but the researchers never inform the subjects for that purpose. Okay, Moving to the tools that can be used for recording observations, people, you can use note taking, photography, video and audio recordings to actually record your observations. Well, people, starting with note taking, it's one of the most easiest and convenient method for recording observations. People, whenever you are recording your observations in the form of note taking, make sure that you make very short paragraphs, or you just enlist the information in the form of pointers. Because people, if you'll start recording the information in the form of long paragraphs, you might miss out a particular event that needs consideration, that needs to be recorded. Okay? Moving to photography. Photography can help you capture most important moments in a particular time, and it may help to document the details as well. Okay? Taking a photograph will save you time as well, and you will actually have a record of that thing as well. Okay? Moving to video and audio recordings. People, video or audio recordings basically have a very positive effect of giving you an unfiltered record of the observation event. Okay? It also facilitates the repeated analysis of your observations, and it can be particularly helpful as you gather additional information or insights during your research. Okay? Okay, students, let's start with the advantages of observations. People, observational techniques like interviews, questionnaires, or surveys rely not on what people say they do or feel, but rather on the actual observations of what they do or feel. They allow researchers to collect live data, allowing observers to see what happens in reality. Okay? For instance, if you are conducting a research on use of technology in a classroom, so what you can do is that in a classroom you can actually observe if the technology is being used effectively or not. Moreover, as a technique, observations can generate data and findings which would have been impossible to discover by any other means. Take an example of some social taboos. Okay? People are not comfortable giving interviews related to those topics or even answering the questionnaires for that purpose as well. So your observations can be the tool in such a situation. Okay? Moreover, scientific researches, experimental researches, you do not resort to the questionnaires or the interviews for that thing. What you do is that your observations hold a stance in that. Okay? Moreover, very often where the researcher participates in the activities being performed that he wants to actually observe, very rich data can be generated in such a circumstance. Okay? Okay, students, let's start with some of the disadvantages of observations. People, many observation situations carry the risk of researcher bias. People, because ultimately the analysis or interpretation of those observations lie in the hands of the researcher. He can give it any color. So the fear of your research becoming subjective in this can be there. Okay? While collecting the observations, the researcher might get distracted as well. Okay? And he might miss out a particular event that's quite important. Okay? Moreover, the attention of the researcher may at times be selective. Okay? He might be focused on a particular study group. Say, if he is involved in a classroom research, he might be focusing on a particular batch of students. Okay? So for that purpose, the findings cannot be generalized to the whole classroom. Okay? The selective data entry is still there. Okay? All the aspects cannot be written or recorded. So only the selective things will be taken into consideration. Whenever you're conducting a research and you want to have systematic observations, what you do is that you develop an observation schedule. Okay? First, what will be the foci of your observations? People or events? Okay? Then the frequency of observations. Okay, either you will be recording the observations after every 30 seconds, every minute, every 2 minutes, every hour, etc. Moreover, the length of the observation period. Okay, will it be of 1 hour, 20 minutes, 2 minutes, etc. What counts as evidence? Okay, how a particular behavior is defined and operationalized. For instance, if you are researching on a topic, say disruptive behavior of the students, what you can do is that either the students talking in the class is a disruptive behavior, or calling each other names is a disruptive behavior. So you have to define it yourself, that what counts as a disruptive behavior. Okay, whether the students involved in bullying each other and evidence for disruptive behavior, or just talking in the class. Okay, and then what should be the nature of your entry? Okay, what is your coding system? After you decide upon the coding system, you are ready to conduct a structured observation. Okay? Okay, students, just look into this checklist for structured observations. So, on the y-axis, we have certain coded behaviors, and on x-axis, we have the days. Okay? So, basically, the researcher wants to know the behavior of a child in a classroom. Okay? So, various examples are given which need to be considered, such as, is the child involved in disruptive behavior? Okay, does he bully other children, etc. So whenever a particular stance will occur, the researcher will actually give a tick mark in front of the blank column. Okay, moreover, if a particular occurrence happens 2 or 3 times, okay, the frequency. Okay, for instance, if he gets involved in a disruptive behavior around 3 times, okay, so the frequency will be written in the column that's in front of that. Okay, for instance, on Monday the student was involved in disruptive behavior 3 times, so 3 will be written in the column that's representative of Monday. Okay, students, if you recall our first lecture of technical writing, we stated that in technical report writing, we have an objective tone. Our tone must not be subjective. Okay? So, whenever we are stating our observations in a report, we must not use personal pronouns. My research concludes that, my findings indicate that, I have observed this thing, etc. Or according to me, my research findings indicate that, etc. Okay? Moreover, this will make your research sound very biased and subjective. Okay? The authenticity will be lost from that. If you state, it was observed, the observations of the research suggest that, okay, the findings of the research indicate that, or stuff like that. Okay, so it will give your research a very objective stance, and it will make your research sound very authentic. Okay, students, to conclude, we can say that observations are the tools for primary data collection. Observations can be used to augment your findings obtained through questionnaires or interviews. At times, they can give you an in-depth insight of a particular phenomena as well. Systematic observations are more effectively analyzed as compared to unsystematic ones. Moreover, it's always better to record your findings in a very appropriate and systematic manner, since whenever you are conducting a research, it's better to actually quantify that. Okay? Okay, students, will stop here. I do believe that now you people are pretty clear about the phenomena, that what are observations, how do you basically go about collecting the observations, what are the basic tools for collection. Moreover, what are the different types of observations? Okay, in case you still have any ambiguity, just feel free to write to me via your Google Forms. The link has already been provided to you people. Thank you so much.